Are you thinking of moving to Big Bear, California? Because if you are, in this video, I'm going to be going over the pros and the cons of living in Big Bear, California. I'm going to be sharing with you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm also going to give you a little bit of nuggets, of things to do within Big Bear, California. So you definitely want to stay tuned because we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to this channel and you really want to know everything that there is about living, eating, breathing, playing in Big Bear, California, then you want to subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Big Bear, California. My name is Jonathan. The team and I get calls and emails every single day from people just like you looking to make their move. And we absolutely love it. So whether you're deciding to move in 9 days, 90 days, or 900 days, you can always give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom down below. That way we can help you make your smooth move to Big Bear, California. Now, Big Bear, California, let me give you a little bit of insight. So Big Bear, California does have a population of a little over 13,000 people. And when I say Big Bear, California, I don't just mean Big Bear Lake. I also mean Big Bear City and the little surrounding areas. So yes, a little over 13,000 people. It is a small city located within the San Bernardino Mountains, and it's along the south shore of Big Bear Lake. Now, what is Big Bear really known for, right? Well, if you are native to Southern California, you know it is more of a resort getaway for localists here within Southern California to go skiing, to go snowboarding, to go fishing, to go hiking, to go mountain biking, to go off-roading in the mountains. That is kind of what it's really known for here in the southern region of California. It is definitely a resort getaway for us Southern California natives. That's what we love. Now, what's there to do in Big Bear? Oh, there's a whole lot to do within Big Bear if you're planning to make a trip down there, right? Or you're deciding to move. Well, one of the things you can definitely do is check out the Village in Big Bear, California, right? It serves as a hub for shopping, dining, nightlife. It has cool little boutique stores, gift shops, and other little knickknacks. So every time I'm there, I definitely go stop by and get myself another flannel jacket, to stay warm out there, because during the winter months, it can definitely get really cold. Now, during the summer months, again, you can go fishing, you can go hiking, mountain biking, off-roading, take a tour on Big Bear Queen Lake tour. You can also go mini golfing. You can go to the Alpine Slide at Magic Mountain. Lots to do within the summer months. It's a beautiful area. I mean, you will fall in love if you go to Big Bear during the summer. You're gonna fall in love if you go to Big Bear during the winter as well. However, I know there's a lot of people that do not like the cold, especially us Southern Californians, right? Now, during the winter, there's skiing, there's snowboarding, there's Big Bear or Bear Mountain Resort, there's Snow Summit, as well as tubing or glow tubing, which is really fun, especially if you do have kiddos. What's glow tubing? That's just a fancy way of saying it's night tubing, and they just have a bunch of glowing lights going around. It's really cool, really sick. So if you want to go check that out, Big Bear Snow Play is where there is glow tubing, basically. I've been there a handful of times with my kids. Every single time we go, it's absolutely fun. You can also go sledding. Now, caution there, if you do go sledding and you do decide to pull off the side of the road, just be careful, right? Because there is a lot of different slopes, and a lot of people do decide to just kind of go off the road and just sled, which is perfectly okay as long as you're doing it safe. So that is, all the variety of things that you can do within Big Bear, California. Do you see what I mean? It is kind of like a resort getaway for us Southern Californians because there's so much to do. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into the pros and the cons of living in Big Bear. I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm gonna give you your veggies and I'm gonna give you your dessert. So let's get into pro number one. Pro number one of living in Big Bear, California, it's going to be its indoor and outdoor activities, right? like I just mentioned, all the crazy, amazing things to do within Big Bear. Why wouldn't that be pro number one? You again can go snowboarding during the winter months. You can go skiing again during the winter months, or you can go to an escape room. You can go to arcade games. You can go to the lake. Again, variety of options. Don't I also forgot to mention the little small zoo that they got going on there within Big Bear. So that's another popular feature within Big Bear, California. So again, so many different variety of things, whether you want to go hiking, you do want to go mountain biking, a lot of outdoor and indoor activities within Big Bear. So that's why we're naming pro number one indoor and outdoor activities. On to pro number two. Pro number two of living in Big Bear, California, it is going to be the public education, public schools. So the public schools in Big Bear, California actually do rank slightly higher than the national and the state average, which puts the schools above average, which is actually a really great thing, especially if you are really looking to move in Big Bear, right? That you know that your kids' education is of importance, and you know that they are going to have some great education and learn some great things. You don't have to worry that much because again, the schools are above average. So that is a really big plus of living in Big Bear, California, is that they do have, a great public education system. And that's why we're naming public education as pro number two. Pro number three of living in Big Bear, California, one of my personal favorites, it's gonna be the cost of living within Big Bear, California. So the total cost of housing, food, childcare, transportation, healthcare, and other necessities for a single adult living in Big Bear is $36,000 a year. That's less than the state average of $45,000 a year, and less than the national average of $38,000 a year, according to 24/7 Wall Street, right? So that is one major plus of living in Big Bear, California, is the cost of living is significantly less than the state average and also the national average. So that right there is just a really, really big plus. So if you are considering moving to Big Bear, again, the cost of living overall, housing, food, goods and services, right? Everything is just a little bit less expensive. So that is one great feature. Now, obviously, it is in the San Bernardino Mountains, kind of tucked away further from population, and in a small town, right? You can kind of put two and two together, why that makes a little bit of sense. However, that's a really, really big plus of living in Big Bear, California, is that it is really affordable. So that's why we're naming cost of living as pro number three. Pro number four of living in Big Bear, California, and to finish off our pros, it's going to be the location. The location is so prime. Why is it prime? Because you're not so far from major cities. Like other resort style areas are extremely far from major cities, not Big Bear, California, right? You can be in one of the biggest major cities in the United States within an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, right? Which is Los Angeles, or you can go to Las Vegas as well. There's so many different cities, big major cities surrounding Big Bear, California. So that is a really great, neat feature, is that where it's, centrally located in Southern California, you have, easily accessible access to these major cities, which again is really great. So if you are living in Big Bear during the winter months and you want to just snowboard during the day or during the morning, you absolutely can. Make an hour and 45-minute drive down to the beach and then go surfing. People do it. We are actually one of 5 places in the entire world that you can go snowboarding and surfing at the same time. So that right there is a really neat feature and a big plus of living in Big Bear, and a big plus just living in Southern California in general. So that right there is going to finish off our pros. That is pro number 4, it is the location. Now let's move on to your veggies. So starting off with con number 1. Con number 1 of living in Big Bear, California, it's going to be the congestion. Being congested, really, that's what I mean, right? So not all the time. So it's congested at times, especially during the winter months and especially during the holidays. So if you are looking to go and move to Big Bear or just visit, just know during the holidays and during the winter months, it does get a bit busier and it can get congested at times. So that is one big major factor that you definitely want to take away when you are visiting Big Bear. You do want to make sure you avoid the crazy holidays such as Christmas or such as New Year's or maybe Thanksgiving, right? Because those are the times where it can get really, really crowded. And so, you know, a 1 mile or 2 mile drive that usually takes you 3 to 5 minutes, it's going to turn into a 30 to 45 minute drive within Big Bear because there's not a whole lot of main roads within Big Bear. So that is one consideration you always want to keep in mind when you are visiting or you're planning to relocate to Big Bear, California. And that's why we're naming congested as con number 1. Con number 2 of living in Big Bear, California, it is going to be the wildlife. Now, not necessarily a big con. This is just for those, you know, it's for people that don't really experience wildlife too often. You need to be aware there is wildlife. There is bears, there's black bears, right? There are coyotes, there's foxes, there's deers, there's rabbit. There's so much different wildlife within Big Bear. It's really actually a great thing, right? My biggest suggestion, and everybody, you know, if in the national forests and park rangers, is stay away from wildlife. Don't try to feed them, don't try to touch them. You know, if you are getting charged by a bear or something of that nature, just make yourself look big, put your arms up and scream, right? But at any rate, that's why we're naming wildlife as con number 2, is you need to be safe, you need to be aware, and just be cautious. Don't touch the wildlife, don't play with the wildlife, don't try to feed the wildlife. And that's why we're naming wildlife as con number 2, which again, not necessarily a con, it's just you need to be aware to not mess with wildlife animals. Now moving on to con number 3 and our final con. All right, so con number 3 of living in Big Bear, California, it's not easily accessible. So what do I mean by not easily accessible? It is again within the San Bernardino Mountains, so you do need to be aware of that, right? The roads to get up into Big Bear, they're curvy, it's windy, there's some sharp turns, and especially if you're, you know, you get above that elevation of 3,000 feet, you know, things can get a little bit scary. So you always want to keep that in mind. During the winter months, always carry chains no matter what. It'll save your life. So that is going to finish off all our cons. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a market recap, and I'm going to share with you the little bit of market of what's currently going on in Big Bear, and just a little bit of overview as well of this whole video, over our pros, over our cons, you know, the good, the bad. So let's get after that and jump into market recap. Market recap time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this was useful and hopefully gave you some clarification of whether or not Big Bear is a great place for you. Right now, there's a lot of pros, a lot of cons coming with living in Big Bear or relocating to Big Bear, California. Now, there's a variety of amenities within Big Bear, California, which is really, again, a big plus. Now, it can get cold during the winter months, and during the summer months, it's just a perfect weather. I believe the hottest recorded temperature ever recorded in Big Bear was actually 98 degrees back in the 90s. So that is a really cool feature. It doesn't ever jump above 100, right? You know, it usually stays within the 70 to 85 degree range here in Big Bear, California. So again, another big plus during the summer months. So overall, I definitely do believe the pros outweigh the cons of living in Big Bear because the cost of living is affordable. The amenities are great. The people are awesome. The things to do within Big Bear, the location of Big Bear, right? When you're comparing it to, yes, it can get congested at times because it's a resort style area for our Southern California natives, right? Wildlife, it's not big of a con as I kind of made it to seem, but you just do need to be aware if you're not used to wildlife, especially if you come from a major city and that's all you know, you need to be aware that it is there. Now, the roads, not easily accessible. As long as you're driving safe, maintaining your distance, not driving so fast up the mountains, you will be perfectly okay. Now, if you are a little bit of a speed racer, you might have some issues, right? But you definitely always, again, want to be alert at all times when you're driving up the mountains, especially during the winter months. Now, if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, just go ahead and comment down below, and we would love to get back to you and reach out to you. So thank you for watching Living in South California.